Hi, Utsav.
Hi, allow me to welcome architect Chirag Dedhia, founder director at Studio4 Consultants, a leading BIM consultation and implementation firm. I'm so thrilled for this conversation that I'm finally having a talk about BIM and its implementations. So, welcome to this live session.
Thanks for having me over. Welcome, everyone.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Great, great.
Great. All right. So, I'm gonna start with the very basic. The very basic. What is BIM and what are its implications?
Well, if I have to put it in a very short way, BIM is a process that you create for yourself such that you are able to design, you're able to construct, you're able to deliver a built asset. It could be a building, it could be a road, it could be a bridge, anything that you can build. And you deliver it in such a way that all the parties who are part of that process, they are using that information that is getting generated, created by different people, and they are having the right amount of access to that information. So that is important when it comes to BIM. Now that was very technical, but to make it very simple, we need to put together a process in a way that everybody who's collaborating on that project is able to add information to the project model and is able to extract information out for their own purpose. That I would say is BIM.
Right, right. So, one of the major questions that I've had a couple of days back is why BIM? How is it different from
Okay,
other software, especially Revit?
right. So, well, since you mentioned Revit, Revit is one of the many BIM applications that we have available. And when we come to why BIM, and I would say that why BIM, or why should we even talk about all of this, or new technology in design and construction, I would say when it comes to construction, our industry is one of the largest employers in the world, and we are also one of the largest waste producers in the world, right? So we do a lot of stuff in our construction projects, and that leads to a lot of greenhouse emissions, right? So to curtail that and to kind of limit what we harm in the environment, I feel that BIM as a technology has a big role to play there. And why we say that is because using BIM technology, you can actually visualize what is going to get constructed much beforehand. You can anticipate your challenges that would happen, so that when you actually get into construction, you're not wasting time, you're not wasting resources, you're not wasting manpower, you're not wasting material when you reach the construction site. So that I would say is the reason why BIM should be talked about, and why this has to be used in every project that we all work with.
Right, right. So, in fact, BIM is not just helpful for architects, it's a game changer for how execution is happened on site. It is a
Right.
game changer for contractors and developers. So, enlighten us about this. How does this help in site execution?
Right. So we are all part of the ecosystem, whether it's our designers, it's our contractors, the client themselves, whether it's the subcontractors, the smaller contractors, or whether it's the various number of consultants who come onto the project. So I was involved in one of the project some years back, almost about 10 years back, where there were close to 30 consultants on the project, right? Because it was a high-rise tower and it had a lot of different things there. So you are having a lot of people on the project, and usually there are maybe about 100 different packages which are awarded as contract to for developing even one residential building, right? So within those 100 packages, you will have so many different contractors who bid for every package. So there'll be people who would actually execute, let's say, tiling for the first 5 floors, and then there are another contractor who is executing the tiling for the 6th to 10th floor, and things like that, right? So even for one package, there are multiple contractors. So you are literally talking about close to 500 different contractors usually on a project, to close to thousands of people involved in a building project, or in a road project, or in a large scale airport or something like that. So we are talking about so many people involved, and each of these people add to the time, add to the effort which is involved in constructing a project. And when it comes to BIM, it is you're not just handling a 3D model. Most people perceive that BIM is just about a 3D model, or creating a 3D model and visualizing it on the computer screen. No, BIM is about the process of adding information, extracting information out. So what we mean by that is you're adding information while you're designing it, or there is a contractor who's adding information to the project when he's executing it, or there is a supervisor at site who's adding information to what is executed and what is not executed right now, or there is a management of the project who wants to extract information to be able to go to their financiers with the cash flow that they require to execute the project. So each person has a role to play in a BIM project, and it's not limited to just a 3D model. In the BIM language, we call all of this as 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, which basically means that each party who's involved, whether it's an engineer or a planner or an estimator or a supervisor, all of them have a role to play at the stages during the construction stage in BIM.
Right, right. So when is the right time, which is the right stage to begin modeling in BIM?
Oh, I wish I had that answer, but I have noticed, in most project types, you can get into BIM at any point in time. But I think what is important when we have that question in our mind is, wherever you are in the project right now, and if you start BIM today in that project, you will end up having benefits related to those stages of design and construction that are pending. So, for example, if you get into the project after the scheme of the project is kind of frozen, let's say the schematic design is in place, you've got your approval drawings in place and things like that, and you want to get into detailed coordination, you want to get into detailed execution. So if you implement BIM at that stage, you can end up having a lot of benefits of coordination, clash detection, producing great construction drawings out of the and then of course at the execution stages. But if somebody is wise enough, they would start BIM very, very early, right at the concept stage. So if they start BIM at the concept stage, you can actually have benefits related to drawing out area statements, drawing out quick, feasibility studies, whether the project is feasible or not, and things like that. And we're talking about so many different softwares that today are available in the BIM world that you are able to do many, many things compared to what was possible, say, 15 years ago when I started. 15 years ago, we didn't know anything beyond Revit, right? So, it was all Revit or ArchiCAD or one of those and nothing else. But today there is so much of potential and possibility of adding information and extracting information out, and we have so many different softwares available now.
Right. So in your opinion, how is BIM going to change construction happens after this pandemic situation ends? How it's going to change?
Oh, it's going to be a big change. I'm already seeing it. We are busier than before. So, I think most people realize that we cannot afford to spend a lot of time now at construction sites, right? So you can't have a lot of people going to construction site and monitor it or, supervise it, or we cannot even afford to have any mistakes done at the design stage, at our pre-construction stages, right? We can't afford to wait for everything, maybe that, I would resolve these things at site. So we as designers, we have the tendency to do a little bit right now and leave a little rest at the execution stage. I don't think we now have that, chance to leave that, right? So we will all have to resolve everything on the computer at our desks, wherever we are, whether we are at home, and resolve all of them and not wait till the last minute, and wait till the construction starts. And then when it comes to actual construction, we may not be able to go to the site to monitor. So we'll have to install devices which can read the data that is getting constructed and send us that data back to our desk in our offices or at our homes. And that will help us monitor the project sitting from wherever we are. Wherever we are, we could monitor those projects. So all of this is now actually possible. So none of this is something that is new, honestly. All of this was available since at least the last 5 years. That data that can be read back at home, and with the use of with the onslaught of cloud technology, this is becoming far easier than what it was about 5 years back. So yeah, we're actually ready for whatever comes our way now.
That's great. We have quite a few interesting questions from the audience as well. I would like to pick out first from Vyoma. Does BIM make sense for villa scale projects? And even I wanted to ask this question. What kind of scale of projects does BIM can be used for? Small scale projects as well, or just large scale projects?
Absolutely small. See, every project, whether it's small or large, I don't think the scale of the project is a concern, because even in a villa project we have our own issues. So like in a villa project, you may not be in that city or in that town where that villa is getting constructed, right? You would be in a city, and the villa is probably coming up in some small town, and you want to make sure that you are fully coordinated. Your designers and your contractors fully understand what their role is going to be and when they have to construct what. And if you want to visualize all of that, if you want to be 100% sure, BIM is your answer to that challenge. And I've done a lot of villa projects, in fact, about 6-8 years back, in a place called Lonavala, not very far from Bombay. And in those projects, BIM was our savior. That place rains almost about 6 months in a year, and you can't access that location easily. It's very difficult to take material over there or store material or actually do construction over there. So, BIM was our answer there. We used to coordinate completely everything, make sure that the designers fully understand what is going to come their way, and then only go for execution, something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Can BIM be used for interior design projects?
Absolutely. You can't have a better thing than BIM for interior design, because in interior design, every square inch matters, unlike an architectural project, right? So you want to detail out every nook and corner. You also want to make sure that the two perpendicular sides of the room, which are touching each other, are fully clean and clear. And you want to be always in 3D views, right? So you want to make sure you're able to see and perceive your interior spaces completely before they get executed. And in interiors, the cost of interiors is far higher, right? Sometimes compared to architectural projects per square foot. So you want to make sure that you don't do any mistakes. And with the new technology of virtual reality, we are able to now stand inside our project, visualize the whole thing, stand and actually, we are able to bring our clients inside the virtual reality environment, have them go through the models so that they are able to understand what they are probably going to get. Because, you in interiors, we have so many times the clients, who come at the project site, and then they change their minds because they didn't quite visualize that area or that volume so well as you could visualize, right? So virtual reality with the connection of BIM has a much bigger potential, I believe.
Right. How can one acquire BIM consultancy business for new BIM projects in India?
Yeah. So I know, I understand that, back in the day, many of us started with doing BIM modeling for somebody else, right? There's somebody else who's doing design, and then some of us were doing BIM modeling for those designers or for those consultants or clients. I think those days are behind us. It's time that we play a role in helping the design community, in helping our developer community to use BIM. So when they actually start using BIM, you will find the benefits are far higher compared to what you get by just doing modeling for them. And a lot of us who are very good at modeling can actually become very good at helping others to do those projects themselves. And I think that is a great way to acquire business. Today in this environment, nobody, if you start doing BIM modeling jobs for somebody else, you are adding cost and you are adding time to the project. Whereas the premise of BIM is that it should reduce time and it should reduce cost on the project. So when you really want to do that, you can actually go out and help people who are designing and help them save money and time, help people who are constructing, help them save money and time. I think that is a great way to acquire business, according to me.
So it has to go hand in hand. It can't come afterwards.
Absolutely. So BIM and design or BIM and construction goes hand in hand. They are not separate. It's just that you were earlier using CAD to design, and now you're using BIM to design, something like that. Yeah, you have a better vehicle now to drive.
Right. So when is the right time to learn BIM? Should people learn it in the college time only, or when they pass out? And where do they learn BIM?
I think the best time to learn is wherever you are right now. If you are in college, that's where I actually learned some of the BIM tools that, back in about 16 years back. I learned BIM and, by just watching some videos and trying my hands on the software. That was the way to start for us, because we didn't have any help available anywhere. And today, you have such a lot of content available. You have YouTube videos, you have LinkedIn Learning, You have Udemy, and you have so many courses available online. I would recommend take those courses, and in fact, this is a great time to do all of that during the lockdown. Best time to learn. Do that, and then of course, to become good at it, you need real projects, right? So encourage your team members, whether it's your own project in college, do it on those softwares. Whether it's your office, encourage your office members to do a project on BIM together. So take the easiest project that you would try on BIM, right? So why easiest project? Because you don't want to have a lot of complications on your first BIM project. You want you want the software is already the new thing that you're trying, right? So yeah, so keep other things simple, and try that project onto BIM. I think that is a great way to start. It could be a small residential building or a small villa, or maybe if you're in the fourth year of architecture, you could do your second year project on BIM yourself, right? So experiment with all of that, try your hands in all of that. I think that's a great way to start learning, and it's not complicated. I just want to add that this is not rocket science that we're talking about, right? This is simple. Designers, especially engineers and designers, architects, interior designers, all of us are very good at visualizing 3D, right? So when you use a 3D software, it is but natural for you to start using it efficiently, right? In fact, drawing in 2D is more tedious, according to me, because you are visualizing in 3D and drawing in 2D, and then expecting somebody else to understand that in 3D, right? So that is tedious. If you think in 3D, draw in 3D, it's just so simple for somebody else to understand what you've drawn, right? And then, of course, you're drawing a 3D model, and then you can slice it and dice it and get your plan sections, elevations, and whatever you need. So that's pretty simple, I believe. I think that would be a great way to do it.
Right. So, as become more accessible to people, so according to you, is it going to replace the manual analysis, or it's still going to go?
I think to a very large extent, manual analysis has almost gone away. So I work with a lot of customers, whether it's design firms or it's developers and contractors. The manual way of doing things has completely gone away now. We are seeing a lot of integration of analytical softwares with BIM softwares. So if you're a structural engineer or a civil engineer, you could model in a BIM software the building, and then you can directly take that building into your analytical software like ETABS and StatPro or RAM, Visa, Robot. If you are a lighting specialist, you could take the BIM model in your lighting analysis software directly, like Dialux for that matter, right? So if you are a heating, ventilation, cooling engineer, you could take your BIM model directly into a software like IES, which is a great HVAC design software. So there is immense amount of potential now to integrate analysis with BIM, and I think that's the way going forward. That's how it's going to be.
All right. We've got quite a few interesting questions from the audience who are live with us. How is sustainable design related to BIM? How can we achieve that?
Yes, very important. I think that's a great question. Most of the times, sustainability or green is more like a add-on to the project. Most people try and do it at the fag end of the project just to win some credits and things like that, right? So with BIM, what happens is if your team of architects and engineers are already working on a BIM software, you could directly take their models and start analyzing them for water consumption or solar analysis or heating, cooling load calculations and things like that. Very quickly you could do that, and very easily. As a sustainable consultant or a specialist, you need to make a model to analyze, and you need to put that model on the right coordinates, add the right weather data to analyze, right? So you are almost always using a software to do all of that. And getting a ready-made BIM model from the team of architects and engineers makes that life very simple and makes it very quick. And these consultants who are specialists in sustainable design can add value very early on in the project, where they're able to give quick feedback to the consultants that, okay, if you start changing this over here, it will improve the building in so and so manner. So I think it plays a big role for all the other consultants who come on board in any project. Yeah.
So is there a software that should be used to implement BIM on interior projects?
Well, any of these softwares like Revit or ArchiCAD or Vectorworks Architect, all of them are capable of doing BIM for interior design. So yeah, so you very much have all the tools available in these softwares.
Right. So is Revit important to learn? Is it important to learn Revit before we learn BIM, or we can just start with BIM first?
So okay, so like I said, Revit is one of the many BIM softwares. What do I mean by that? Revit is your software which is used by design authors, people who design, right? So these are architects or structural engineers or MEP engineers who would, or interior designers who would use Revit. And what we mean by that is that they will create the design in Revit. So now how is it different than BIM? So you started the process in Revit by making a model, or you could use ArchiCAD to make a model. So you just started the process, but then the rest of the process, which is estimation, which we do a lot of quantification, right? So estimation, planning, these are things that are not done in softwares like Revit, right? Softwares like Revit are not purpose made for estimation, quantification, planning, construction sequencing, or any of that sort. So then you have another set of softwares you end up using for doing those other bits of pieces of work. So when we say BIM, we don't mean Revit, and when we say Revit, we don't mean BIM. When we say BIM, we are talking about the whole integrated process from design, estimation, to planning, to execution, to handover. That's what we mean by BIM, the whole process which is integrated. So it's a great thing to learn BIM, of course, and you could also start by learning these tools, either Revit, ArchiCAD, and then probably after that some coordination softwares. And where would you host these models that you create? So some software where you can store these models online, things like BIM 360 or Trimble Connect or Bentley ProjectWise. These are softwares where you host your models. So one has to remember that when we talk BIM, we are not talking only about Revit. There are a lot of things inside BIM, and there are enough courses available online today in India where you can actually access and learn what is BIM compared to what is just Revit, right? So there are enough softwares, enough courses available online today.
Can you name a few?
So you have something, like you have a college, and there's something called as Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, RICS. They have a course in BIM certification, which is great, which is a decent course in BIM management and BIM, becoming a BIM manager or becoming BIM certified. Then there are courses which are held by Ziggurat University, which is a Japanese university, but they have an on-demand online course across the world, and that's also pretty decent and pretty good. And then there are so many other institutes, small and big. I think IIT Madras has now a course on BIM as part of, and there are many other institutes I've heard which have courses in BIM, or as a subject they have BIM as part of their construction management or master's program. So yeah, enough knowledge available now. There's enough knowledge floating around now, I guess. It's just time that we all start with it.
I think after listening to your insights, BIM should be taught in college when we're talking about building construction. It should go side by side, and people should not
Absolutely.
be wanting to learn other than college time or maybe in summer vacations. All right. Thank you so much, Chirag. Thank you so much for so many amazing insights. I just want to ask one last question from. There was another question about interior design. How can BIM be used in interior design projects? I think people are wanting to know a little bit more about how these things are worked out.
All right. So, imagine a project, let's say office interiors, and you have every square inch to be designed in an office interior project, or it could be a residential project. Now, at the very large macro level, you put your walls, doors, windows, your finishes and all of that. But at a micro level, you're now detailing with the same BIM tools, with the same Revit software or ArchiCAD software. You're actually going into the details of modeling every cladding, every finish, every inch is completely detailed in the same software. When you do that, you're able to, generate your 1:2 scale drawings, or you're able to generate your 1:5 level details, right? And you're able to see with the lens of what's going where in every corner of the building or every corner of that space. And of course, interiors demands that we customize everything, right? So we need to make custom objects to be placed in the model. So whether it's a door, custom door, or it's a wardrobe, or it could be a headboard, anything that you want to customize, it's very much possible in a BIM software. It's just that you need to get into the, you just need to get a little more, used to it on how to handle it. I think with interiors, that's a little bit of a tricky part there. And I believe you should start interiors once you've done a little bit of architectural work in that project. Like what I mean by that is at least have a building build and generate your construction drawings for that building. Like once you do that as the first level, then going into interiors becomes a little more simpler because you have a handle on the software by then. And once you have a handle on the software, it's easier to go into this detailing where you need to customize everything, right? So I think that's how even I got around with it. And yeah, it was a challenge in the beginning, but I came around with that.
Right. Right. So does AutoCAD work with BIM?
AutoCAD almost will become obsolete over a period of time because we are now noticing that even our sanctioned drawings that we used to produce in AutoCAD, to send it to municipal authorities for approval, even municipal authorities are now slowly going to migrate onto the BIM platform. So very soon you will notice that your municipal authority is going to demand a BIM model for approvals. And there's something called as BIM DCR that probably is going to come our way very soon. So with that, I think that will be the last piece, because with that, you will slowly have, AutoCAD literally become obsolete. I don't remember using AutoCAD last 15 years now. I've actually forgotten the commands in it. I used to be extremely good at AutoCAD, when I was in college, but since then, completely lost touch with it. Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you, Chirag. Thank you so much for, giving so many insights and enlightening us with so much information. I think this is one of the most talked about topics right now because everybody is
True.
trying to gain awareness about what is it there, why is BIM for me, what is it there for me, and should I learn it now, should I learn it after practicing for a couple of years. So thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for enlightening us.
Thank
It was a
you.
great session.
My pleasure. It was my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It was a great session. Thank you, Chirag. I'll just sign off now.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.